Absolutely, Samba. We're going to try to take this order copy that we have accessed in great detail, so that something that everyone was waiting for is, put out there in public. Uh, Point number 5 of this order that the Supreme Court has released states that the exercise that we propose to undertake is not to be performed in a casual manner. The burning issue that we have embarked upon us is not driven by a momentary impulse. On the contrary, it is only after the deepest of deliberations and having reached the firm conclusion about systematic failure of the concerned authorities over the past 2 decades to address an issue that strikes at the heart of public safety that we have decided to take the matter in our own hands. We have, over a considerable period of time, examined the prevailing circumstances, heard the voices of those who have been directly affected and reflected upon a disturbing pattern of dog bites in this country. Now is not the time for any resistance or hesitation born out of complacency. It is a time for decisive and collective action and to confront the realities of our society. If we fail to act with urgency, we risk allowing yet another 2 decades to slip into the ledger of neglect, leaving future generations to inherit the same problems and the same dangers. So, Supreme Court clearly underlining the importance of their judgment and why this was needed to be done at this moment. I'm going to continue reading this order copy that we've accessed. We are conscious and sensitive of coexistence. The idea behind coexistence is not the existence of one's life at the cost of the other. In the case in hand, we are attempting to flag the experience of those who use the streets daily. Streets should not prove to be vulnerable places. Among a bundle of concerns, we are at pains to take cognizance of the experiences of visually impaired persons, young children, elderly person, people from the humble background, who are not able to afford even a day's meal, let alone the medical expenses. The visually impaired persons are at highest risk of dog bites as their primary support. Their canes are seen as threats by the dogs. Young children are susceptible to dog bites, due to which parents find it very difficult to allow their children to navigate on streets on their own. We have come across concerns of elderly persons being attacked by dogs. We are not casting aspersions, but there is no way one can identify or classify between a rabies carrying dog and others. More particularly, the situation is worse when it comes to persons who are forced to sleep on the streets. It is painstaking to note the pangs of such person who neither have the knowledge of the consequences of dog bites nor have any precautionary or post-exposure measures accessible to them. Point number 7 of the Supreme Court judgment states, it is often that said that no person is above the law. However, of equal significance is the flip side of that maxim. No person is below the law either. The protection, dignity, and security that the law affords are not privileges conferred at the discretion of those in authority. They are rights inherent to every individual, regardless of the station, circumstance, or means. Obedience to the law is not solicited as an act of grace nor extended as a favor. It is commanded and demanded as a matter of right. So reciprocally, the assurance of the law's protection is owed as a matter of duty. To forget this is to hollow out the very purpose of the law, reducing it to an instrument that speaks only to the powerful while turning a deaf ear to the powerless. The true test of a legal order lies not in how firmly it restrains those at the top, but in how faithfully it safeguards those at the margins. In light of the concerns of the interveners, we urge all to adopt and give dog a shelter in their homes. However, we do not ascribe to the virtue signaling of all those who share love and concern for the animals. A virtual divide is being attempted to be created between animal lovers and persons indifferent towards animals, but the heart of the problem remains unanswered for all practical reasons. As a court, our heart pains equally for everyone. We condemn those who, beneath the cloak of love and care for the voiceless, pursue the warmth of self-congratulation. The directions given by us as a court, which functions for the welfare of the people, are both in interest of humans as well as the dogs. This is not personal. Point number 9 of the judgment states the judiciary must assume or take on the coloration of the prevailing popular sentiments of the time, for its role is not to echo the passions of the moment but to uphold the enduring principles of justice, conscience, and equity. As the sentinel on the qui vive, guardian of rights, the judiciary bears the solemn responsibility to possess the courage and the strength to remind the people of truths that they might not like or not preferred not to hear. Point number 10 of the judgment states, at the same time, being conscious about the genuine love and care towards stray dogs that many stakeholders of public share, we urge them to come forward and become a part of the exercise to adorn the care and upkeep of stray dogs responsibly at the dog shelters pounds. To volunteer their valuable time and resources towards proper functioning of such shelters, pounds, and assisting the concerned authorities therein. I have my colleague Sambhav who continues to be with us. Sambhav, a lot of the paragraphs in the judgment are obviously, explaining to the people why the Supreme Court had to take such difficult steps.
Well, absolutely. Here, the Supreme Court has made it very clear that it is sympathetic. I mean, this particular two-judge bench of the Supreme Court, which passed this order, has said that it is sympathetic to the lives of the stray dogs and directed that they must not be subject to any mistreatment or cruelty. The order further states that authorities should ensure no overcrowding in dog shelters. So I mean, Supreme Court has made it very clear that any of the, I mean, lethargy will not be tolerated while implementing this order. On one hand, a stringent, strict order by the top court of the country, and on other hand, there is a kind of humane touch they've tried to give by saying that they are sympathetic to the lives of the stray dogs and on directed that they must not be subject to mistreatment or cruelty, and also authorities to ensure that no overcrowding in dog shelters or pounds, and need is to take proper measures to avoid any such situation of overcrowding. And also, Supreme Court has directed that stray dogs in shelters must not be starved and must not be starved. Now, again, a very important point, and authorities must ensure adequate and regular feeding. So it is in a way, it is a test for the authorities to implement this particular order of the Supreme Court, and that is why the Supreme Court has made it clear that any individual or organization obstructing the implementation will face contempt action, and the progress report on the shelter construction must be submitted within 8 weeks. So this is what the Supreme Court
Absolutely,
has said.
I'm just going to go through these pointers that you've mentioned. You've done a sort of a summary of it, but it's important to understand these pointers in great detail. Now, the directions I'm going to be speaking about the directions that the Supreme Court has given on this particular order. The government of National Capital of Territory of Delhi, the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, and the NDMC and authorities of Noida, Ghaziabad, Gurugram, and Faridabad shall at the earliest start picking up stray dogs from all localities, more particularly the vulnerable localities of the city as far as areas on the outskirts. How to do it is for the authorities to look into. For this, if they have to create a force, they shall do it at the earliest. However, this should be the first and foremost exercise to make all localities within the states and its outskirts free of stray dogs. Number two, there should not be any lethargy or compromise in undertaking this exercise. If any individual or any organization comes in the way of forceful picking up of the stray dogs and rounding them up, and if it is reported to us, we shall proceed to take the strictest of actions against any such resistance which may be offered. We are issuing these directions keeping only one thing in mind, and that is the larger public interest. Infants, young children, aged should not at any cost fall prey to such dog bites that have the propensity to lead to one of the deadliest diseases known to mankind, if not the most, rabies. The action should inspire confidence in the minds of the people, young and old, and they should not old that they can move freely and safely on the roads and vicinity of their own homes without any fear of being bitten by a stray dog or a pack of dogs. The government of Delhi, MCD, and DMC, and appropriate authorities are directed to immediately create dog shelters, pounds, and report to this court the creation of such infrastructure all over the NCR within a period of 8 weeks from today. The dog shelters, pounds should have sufficient personnel to sterilize, deworm, and immunize stray dogs, and also for looking after the stray dogs who would be detained there and not released on the streets, colonies, public places. The dog shelters would be monitored by CCTV to ensure that no dogs are released or taken out. We are mindful of the fact that the exercise of rounding up and relocation of the stray dogs in the shelters and pounds carries concerns over the well-being of such stray dogs. We are sympathetic to their lives as well. Accordingly, we make it clear to all authorities concerned and persons deployed at such shelters that at no stage should these dogs be subjected to any mistreatment, cruelty, or deplorable standards of care. In lieu of this, we direct all the concerned authorities to ensure that there is no overcrowding at dog shelters, pounds, and all measures shall be undertaken promptly for avoiding such a situation. The stray dogs who are brought to these shelters, pounds, shall not be starved, and it shall be the duty of the concerned officials, authorities to ensure that they are adequately and regularly fed. The stray dogs who are brought to these shelters, pounds, shall at no point be left completely unmonitored. In this regard, the concerned authorities must ensure that at least two responsible personnel are present at the shelter pound at all times, and proper duty schedules should be drawn up to ensure the same. Apart from the above, timely medical care should be provided by trained veterinarians to all stray dogs, and the vulnerable and the weak stray dogs should be accommodated separately within the shelter pound as far as possible. Point number 6 of the directions that the Supreme Court has given. We further clarify that it would be open to the concerned authorities to decide the viability of implementing an adoption scheme in respect of the stray dogs that would be kept at the shelters and pounds. However, if any such adoption must take place only after a careful consideration and in terms of the standard protocol for ACA dated 17th May 2022, issued by the Animal Welfare Board of India, and any other condition that the concerned authorities find necessary to impose for such adoption to ensure that the entire exercise envisaged by us is not defeated. At the cost of repetition, we make it clear that no such adoption, if any, should result in the re-release of a stray dog back on the streets. If we find even a single infraction of such kind, we will proceed to take the strictest of action against the official responsible as well as the individual. Since this is progressive exercise, if the dog shelters would have to be increased over a period of time, authorities concerned should begin by creating dog shelters for say 5,000 dogs in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So the Supreme Court making it clear that the 6 to 8 weeks deadline is for 5,000 dogs that they want dog shelters to be created in. All the authorities referred to above are directed to maintain records of daily stray dogs captured as well as number of dogs housed in shelter homes, dog pounds. Such records shall be produced before us on the next date of hearing. However, what is important is without which this entire exercise which we have undertaken may go futile, that not a single dog picked up from any part of the locality shall be released back on the streets, public spaces. If we come to know that this has happened, we shall take stern action in this regard. We clarify that in the entire exercise, the above mentioned record should be maintained regularly by the concerned authorities, such as in the event this court finds any infraction of the directions issued. Herein, necessary action should be taken. In this regard, proper measures should be taken for earmarking the stray dogs who have been captured for the purpose of later identification, such as none of them are released back on the streets. We direct the authorities referred to above to create helpline numbers within a period of 1 week from today, so that all cases of dog bites are immediately reported. Action must be seen to round up, pick up, catch the dogs within 4 hours from the complaint being received. Any resistance offered by any individual or organization in this regard will be viewed strictly, and we may proceed for contempt against such individuals or organizations coming in the way of the court. The stray dogs shall be captured, sterilized, dewormed, and immunized as required by animal birth controls, as noted above, shall not be released under any circumstances. The authorities concerned shall inform the individual of the medical authority so that the victim is treated immediately. Report in this regard shall be presented before us on the next date of the hearing. And finally, availability of rabies vaccines is a major concern, especially genuine vaccine. The authorities concerned, the government of Delhi, is directed to put detailed information about the places where such vaccines are available, full stock of the vaccines, and the number of persons who report treatment on a monthly basis. And these are the 15 directions that the government has issued. Sambhav, if you remain to be with us, what are the issues that the Supreme Court is expected to pick up in tomorrow's hearing?
It was mentioned before, the Chief Justice of India for his hearing, Chief CJI said that we will look into it. And there were different petitions, not just the petition concerning to this particular order, but also earlier or directions of the Supreme Court made by different bench upholding the ABC rules of 2023, and there was a Delhi High Court different order altogether. So all these petitions, all these orders were in a way a part of the petition filed before the Supreme Court, and the matter was mentioned before the Chief Justice of India today morning, and thereafter in the afternoon also another lawyer mentioned this matter before the Chief Justice of India, where Chief Justice of India has assured that yes, in a way, I will look into it. This is what is said by the Chief Justice of India, B.R. Gavai. And now, within some 7 to 8 hours, the Supreme Court has come up with another bench and three judge bench this time, because this particular order which we are talking about of the August 11th, this is a two judge order, and now the matter has been put for hearing before the three judge bench of the Supreme Court of Justice Vikram Nath, Justice Sandeep Mehta, and Justice N.V. Anjaria. So if this particular bench of the top court comes up with a different order altogether, a different judgment, a different perspective on this stray dog in a way, in a menace, so that will prevail over this two judge order which we are talking about, and so it is to be seen. See now that the matter is very much highlighted, a fresh debate is on in this society. So all the people from all walks of life will walk to the Supreme Court. A fresh hearing will happen tomorrow, and it is to be seen who all comes to the Supreme Court tomorrow morning, whether these NGOs will be the part of the team of the petitioners, or some other people, or the matter will be heard completely afresh. So it is to be seen what happens next. Tomorrow's day is going to be very crucial. The matter will be heard before three-judge bench of the Supreme Court, and it is listed as per the cause list of the Supreme Court. The matter is listed before the three-judge bench. Probably, if we talk about this particular order of the two-judge bench, probably when CBI has made three-judge bench, it's very tough to speculate when it comes to what's going on in the Supreme Court's mind, or rather the judges' mind. But because the Supreme Court has constituted a three-judge bench to hear this particular matter afresh, so it seems that yes, there is so CJI would have also thought that yes, there is a need to go with this matter with a fresh bench, a three-judge bench this time, not a two-judge bench, because a detailed order has already been passed by a two-judge bench of the Supreme Court, and now it's a three-judge bench of the Supreme Court which will hear this matter tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m.
Yes, Sambhav, absolutely. I'm just going to be taking the viewers through this final part of the order that we have here. Point number 11 of the Supreme Court order says that for the present, the aforesaid directions shall be complied with and implemented scrupulously. We, at the cost of repetition, again make it abundantly clear to above considered authorities in clear word that it shall at the earliest start picking up and rounding the dogs from all localities in Delhi, Ghaziabad, Noida, Faridabad, Gurugram, as well as areas on the outskirts, and relocate these dogs into designated shelters and pounds. The appropriate authorities of NCT of Delhi, Noida, Ghaziabad, Gurugram, and Faridabad are directed to immediately create dog shelters, pounds, and report to the court the creation of such infrastructure all over the national capital region. A report in this regard should be filed before the court within a period of 8 weeks. In no circumstances should these stray dogs, after their relocation, once again be released back onto the streets. In this regard, proper records should be maintained by the concerned authorities regularly. The stray dogs must be captured, sterilized, and immunized as required by the Animal Birth Control Rules 2023, and as noted above, shall not be released back. The dog shelters, pounds should have sufficient personnel to sterilize, deworm, and immunize stray dogs, and also for looking after the stray dogs who would be detained. We further make it clear that both the exercises of rounding up of stray dogs as well as creation of necessary infrastructure in the form of shelters, pounds for the relocation, sterilization, deworming, and immunization should be undertaken simultaneously. We do not want to hear about even a semblance of lethargy from the concerned authorities, and on the pretext of awaiting the creation of shelters, pounds, otherwise we will proceed to take strict action against these authorities. All authorities are directed to immediately begin picking up of stray dogs, and in the same breath creation of appropriate and adequate shelter homes and pounds across the national capital region. Any hindrance or obstruction that may be caused by any individual or organization in the smooth and effective implementation of our aforesaid directions shall be viewed as contempt of this court, and we shall proceed to take appropriate action in accordance of the law. Since this is an ongoing exercise, we are not at this stage inclined to entertain any intervention applications that can be filed before us. Very, very important, viewers. We first want to hear from the concerned authorities as to what they have to say and the progress made by them. Once these relevant details are placed before us by the concerned authorities, we will make into consideration the intervention applications before us on their own merits. During the course of the hearing, we were apprised about the pendency of petition titled Parthima Devi was MCD before the High Court of Delhi, wherein similar initiative of constructing of a dog shelter found by the MCD was stayed by the High Court. Keeping in mind the similitude of issues involved in the aforesaid matter in the case in hand, we are of the view that aforesaid petition should be heard by this court. And finally, notify this matter once again with an appropriate status report along with all intervention applications after a period of 4 weeks on top of the board. So this, viewers, was the entire 18 pages of the Supreme Court order in the stray dogs matter, where they had directed the Delhi authorities to immediately pick up these stray dogs from the streets and ship them to shelter homes. Tomorrow is now the awaited date where we are going to be seeing a 3-judge bench from the Supreme Court hearing a matter on this issue, a separate matter on this issue. I thank my colleague Sambhav who accessed this report for us and has helped us break it down in detail as well. Keep watching NewsX on the other side.
पंकज जी को बीमारी के कारण 7 बार हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट होना पड़ा।